Okay.
All right.
Sweet. So I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this interview forever, and I know that we keep rescheduling. And so now I have you on the show. So welcome to the Sunshine Show.
Thank
Welcome
you.
everybody. This is John Heintz.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me, Sunshine.
Absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and let a few more people gather in, and I'm going to share this to a couple of pages. Tell me about your day today, John. What was that all about?
Oh, today is pretty chill. I'm just kind of rebounding from a little health situation the last couple days, so getting back into the swing of things, and started my day pretty much the same way as every day, 5 a.m.
Oh,
Get up.
wow. You're an early birdie.
I am, and yeah, it's a good time for me to get kind of caught up on all the shipping and all that from all the merch sales and stuff that
So, have you been pretty good on your merch sales? What's that
merch goes really well for us because we tend to use a lot of heavily collected artists that design all of the merch images for us, our album covers, and it's become a really nice thing to have, where there's, you're getting two different audiences at the same time. You're getting the music side and also the art, and it really does well at the cross promotion. And I've always believed that a strong album cover is key. It's kind of like, you send your child off to the first day of school and you want them wearing the best clothes to get that first impression. And so people, to me, see the cover before they even hear the first note. So if you have something outstanding to be able to put on that cover, then it really helps a lot. And it also enables us to work a lot with the artists and just keep the whole kind of ecosystem flowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us a few of the artists that you've worked with on your album covers?
Sure. Here, let me see where I've got some stuff here.
What's up, Victor Price, Josh Blake? Thank you, guys. Eric Gomez.
So this is the first album. This is volume 1, and the art, a little bit of a glare there, but Emic is the artist behind that, and he's unbelievable. He's done work with so many outstanding bands. I originally saw his work on Erykah Badu's covers.
Oh,
Was
sick.
just blown away by the intricacy and the detail, and it was really something else to see. And I felt like that was the guy that I needed to reach out to be able to do the artwork. And then Jim Mazza is another artist. He's a California artist, and he did the second album. And when that was commissioned, I think we did a total of 7 pieces for that. And for me, when
the Big Ol Nasty Getdown album.
Yeah, that's volume 2.
I show this to everybody on every single show because I think I've given away almost every single copy that I got. Because I want everybody to just experience. I mean, this artwork, I love the little tuba player. Oh, there went my mic. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
The little tuba player and just everything is super cute, but just catchy. It's almost like me buying a glass of wine. Like I always go by like the picture on the bottle.
Oh, rad. Yeah, it's so fun to see the creative minds of the visual artists. Like it always blows me away to see what they come back with. And I try to keep it pretty open with everybody, and not box them in too much creatively by giving too much direction. There might be a couple little suggestions here or there, but quite often it's just go with whatever you're feeling. Let's see, some of the other artists that I've been working with is James Flames. He's out of Asheville, North Carolina. He does a lot with 311. Matt Lunig, he does a lot with Widespread Panic. He's out of Atlanta. Mark Spusta, he's another. The thing that's interesting. Okay, so let me just back up a little bit.
Back it on up, John. Back it all the way up.
So about 5 years ago, a buddy of mine sends me a message and he says, "Hey, can I give you a couple $100 to go down to get in line 3 hours early to the Humphreys McGee show and grab me as many of the concert posters as you can. I'll pay for your dinner, I'll pay for the tickets, so on and so forth. I'm thinking, you're crazy. Like, why would you want me to do such a thing? And I get down there and there was already a line, like a huge line of people that was just waiting to get the merch, just waiting to get the show poster. So the doors opened and everyone was allowed to buy 2 per turn in the line. Wow. And I watched people that had recruited 8 or 9 people to come with them, and they were scooping 20 prints up at a time.
Wow.
So basically within 10 to 15 minutes, 350 prints were sold at $35 a piece.
Now we're talking at the Humphrey McGee show?
The Humphreys McGee show.
Okay.
And half the people that were in line didn't even stay for the show. They literally were there to get the print and split. So before the show even started, I was just kind of messing around. I looked on eBay and the prints were already up there for $250 a whack, selling all night long.
Whoa!
And I just was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
And then John went cha-ching, cha-ching.
Well,
cha-ching.
yeah, it was kind of like, okay, well, there's definitely an audience for the art aspect. And being that the music industry right now is so absolutely difficult to monetize, and the artwork being something that there was a really large audience of collectors for, it seemed like it was a great time to really focus on merging the art aspect and the music aspect to create some sort of sustainability, because we're all struggling to figure out creative new ways to be able to just exist, because things are the way they are and have gotten even more difficult. So it became really as an important of an aspect to the project as the music itself. And now it's a representation of what I feel is some of the best players out there, as well as some of the best visual artists out there, all kind of creating one finished product, for lack of better terms, that encompasses all aspects, visually, sonically, so on and so forth, and gives the listeners really kind of that old school vinyl experience where you pop on a record, look through the art, read through the line notes, so on and so forth. So,
yeah, that's what I really loved whenever I was checking out the albums, was just the whole concept of the concept album, really. It was just the beauty of the artwork, and you open it up and you have just like beautiful imagery inside, and then you even focused on the actual record itself. And I know the second album is actually it has bronze inside of the vinyl.
Yeah, it's actually bronze that swirled into the vinyl during the pressing process.
Wow.
And I've always wanted to have every element of the finished product be a piece of art itself. So for example, this sold out a long time ago, but this is the purple swirl vinyl for volume 1. And it really matches well with the cover art. Same thing with the volume 2. It just really lent itself well to the colors of the imagery and just being able to have that full.
Yes, it's like a Wes Anderson movie, the way he color codes everything.
Totally. My mother's an artist, so I think part of me, loves to have that artistic coordination with everything and make it something special. Because for me, these are, I feel like, my opportunities to be able to put something out there that not only I'm putting my name on, but I'm also being trusted with, tons and tons of people's names that I want to be able to represent and bring the best product to the table for everybody.
Absolutely. I have a comment here from Christopher. Oh, what's up, Eric, Megan, Wiz?
What's up, everybody?
I have a comment from Christopher Musman, who says, fun fact, Big Ol Nasty Getdown is the only band ever that the awesome art led to my discovery of an awesome band, and now I love it all.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, Christopher.
That is so cool. And that's exactly what you were talking about, right? You got to really capture people's attention and, really
Absolutely.
project.
Yeah, and it's fun because, through the process, I also get to meet a lot of other folks because I'm a collector. I collect a lot of different things, so I understand the collector mentality, and I understand.
Definitely collect bases.
Oh, habits come in all forms, don't they? Yeah, I've got a slight bass issue. But.
No, I love it. We will get to that bass issue too. This is like an example of one of the pieces that I was able to get, and then this one too. And I just love both of them. They're so eye-catching, and it's just beautiful artwork, and I'm just so proud of everything that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Mark Spoosted did those covers, and that was a really fun project. Like, one of the things that is an uphill battle, and that it just comes with the nature of working with a lot of unbelievably talented people, is one, it takes time because everybody's got a really heavy schedule, and two, the investment into the product is usually pretty heavy because you've got to factor in a lot of elements. For example, that print set that you held up was part of a 7-inch collector set that we did that was basically nothing too far beyond a typical 7-inch, except for the two covers are hand-signed prints. And
so these were the covers of the print.
Those are the actual covers, except for instead of it being one single fold over type of cover, I wanted it to each component be a collectible piece of art within it. So we did that.
Oh, I get it. Okie dokie. Okay, now it's all coming together. You really should have described it all to me when you sent me the package, because I was just like, look at all this really cool stuff I got. Okay, wow, dude, that's what's up. That is like thinking completely outside of the box.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was just kind of like changing it up a little bit because, a 7-inch is typically a novelty item. It's something that, a lot of bands put out there as an inexpensive way to have another album out. And it doesn't gain a lot of traction a lot of times because there's just not that many collectors of the 7-inches, as far as I know.
Uh-huh.
And having it broken into a set like that, we were able to really appeal to the art collector market. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bunch of people that bought that and tossed the vinyl out and just like hung out with the covers.
Yeah, what's up, Beebs? We were just talking about, my friend Beebs works with George Clinton, and I know that you do a lot of work with
Hey, Beebs.
And you do know Beebs too, so that goes out to you, Beebs. Who else do we have? She says, hey, JP. We have John Paul Miller. 7 inches are more common than you think.
So hey, I got a shout out to John Paul Miller, because John Paul JP is the person that helped get the project off the ground. He was my partner in crime with the project from the very beginning of the early days of the madness, when we had no idea what was going to happen. We just knew that we had to try something, and here we are 13 years later.
Yeah, wow. Thank you, JP, for helping initiate all this.
And JP's the guitarist for Your Mama's Big Fat Booty Band and plays with April Being the Cool. So he's been in the scene for forever, in the funk scene. He's great.
Super cool. Hey, Eugene, howdy. How's it going? Wow, that is so cool. Yeah, I remember when we first linked up, I had told you that I was a huge fan of the Big Ol Nasty Getdown, specifically because you had worked a lot with George Clinton, and more specifically Bernie Worrell. Did he do keys on one of your?
Danny Bedrosian did.
Okay.
He's who took over for Bernie, and he's another genius player. I knew Bernie, but I never got a chance to be able to connect with him in the studio. I know that the Booty Band got a chance to have Bernie sit in with them at a show.
Wow. I just love, when you say the Booty Band, it just really puts a smile on people's face. Say it again, John.
The Booty Band, your mama that Booty Band.
Wow, that's awesome. Continue your story.
So yeah, the George Clinton days were definitely wild. We found ourselves in a position where George had invited us down to finish the record at his studio. So the way the Volume 1 album came about is we rented a house down in New Orleans, and there was like 35 of us from 20 different bands that were all staying in this ginormous mansion that we had down there.
Please tell me there's video of this.
There's some. It's fairly limited because it was insane. It was one of the most unbelievable times of my life. To some degree, there was some wild shit that happened too. I wound up burning my hand the very first day of going into the studio and couldn't track. There was all kinds of crazy shit. But the fact of the matter was, I think we were all just stoked that it was happening. That the universe had sort of come together, created this window of time that everybody wasn't touring.
Yeah.
And could just show up and do it. And so we had players from P-Funk, we had players, pretty much all the funk players from Asheville, North Carolina down there, guys in Dirty Dozen Brass Band, Galactic, Dumpsta Funk, and a few others from New Orleans. And we basically wrote the majority of the album through the house parties at night when we were just jamming in the living room at the house.
Now that's a way to write an album.
It was awesome because the process for Big Ol Nasty is very different than a lot of other operations. Whereas we don't have anything pre-written. We don't have anything in mind before we go in.
Okay.
We let the vibe basically carry. And when you're dealing with so many talented musicians, it's hard not to wind up in some kind of badass jam that if you're staying aware during that jam that we're trying to yield some actual songs out of it, you get players earmarking little sections of the jam like, oh shit, we need to come back to that, check it out. And then it just really flushes itself out. But it was such an amazing round the clock party. And
I wish I was there.
I wish I was back there. Like I would love to just have 5 more minutes of that moment. It was amazing because that Gary Scheider and Belita Woods from Parliament Funkadelic were down there. Rest in peace, both of them.
Yeah.
But and that was such a huge part of the excitement, was having these legends that had worked with George forever, just sitting there dropping knowledge and the stories, and from there it just kept growing, the project. I suppose when we went to go take it live the first time and realized that logistically we weren't going to be able to get everybody from the album into the live setting because of tours or previous obligations, though we got most of like our very first gig, we had, I think, 48 musicians.
Whoa! Holy cow, dude. What the hell?
It was fucking nuts. 48 musicians. We had 2.5 days to rehearse an entire album worth of music that people hadn't played in a while. And we had pretty much close to the entire first album of players at that one, but we did have to call in a few other folks, which I don't know why we had to call in a few other folks, because we had so many damn people already. But I'm glad that they were all there. So we called in a bunch of other folks, and it just started expanding at that point. And then one of the situations that was a difficult one to deal with was because George Clinton was involved, everybody started thinking it was a George Clinton project, which George and the Parliament Funkadelic cast were very much part of the first album, but they were like, you know, the rest of us that were just participants in the album. It wasn't that it was this person or that person. It was kind of the sum of all the parts. And so having to deal with all the clubs wanting George there, all the thises and the that's made life unbelievably difficult because financially we couldn't figure out a business model that would cover the payrolls and the guarantees and have a club commit to something like that where I'm not totally exposed. Because see, the project works different in the sense that I'm contracting everybody. Okay. And if we don't sell a single ticket, I still have a payroll to cover. It's not their fault that nobody showed. They came and did exactly what, you know, we agreed upon. So when that risk is involved and you don't have a lot of cooperation with the clubs helping offset some of that, it becomes just a fucking nightmare. Yeah. And then it becomes a, you know, they want to try to do an a la carte type of situation. It's like, oh, you work with these people here, we'll bring this person, and this person, and then we'll do it. And it's like, I can't. I mean, I probably could work on that, but it's not going to be.
You're gonna have to pay us a whole lot more money.
Yeah, it's not going to make sense for the club or the band. As much as I want to, it's not set up to be able to sustain that at the moment. So it's always an interesting scenario with the live band. But with the George Clinton aspect, it was amazing having George part of it. It was truly mind-blowing for me to be able to sit in a room with him and watch his creative process, have the mothership, you know, in the next room over, all the old school P-Funkers floating in and out of the studio. I mean, it was something else. But when that album finished up, I was faced with, all right, well, we've got to do a second album. How can we do this in a manner that I guess shows that it's not necessarily a P-Funk project? How can I balance it out in a way that shows that it's a collective of people that have a commonality of the love of music, whether it's funk, whether it's jazz, whether it's rock and roll, whatever. I mean, our sessions, I don't give a shit if we do a country song.
Yeah, I was hearing I'm pretty sure there was a country influence song I heard just a little
Totally.
I thought, I was like, oh my God, this is my shit right here.
I think that's Wake Me Up, the Ralph Roddenberry tune.
Yes, yeah.
And Belita's singing on that. And that one again, that came up. So Ralph was driving down from Atlanta to New Orleans for the first session, and he had driven all night. And this was the very first day of going into the studio, and he wound up oversleeping. You can't blame him. I mean, dude had just driven all through the night, right?
Yeah.
Get some rest. So he rushes to the studio, and we're all there kind of messing around with this tune. And he comes in singing, "Wake Me Up, don't want to sleep too long because I don't want to miss what's going on." Uh-huh. And it was all about not wanting to miss what was happening in the sessions. And we wound up creating this song around it that was based off of some riffs that I believe Alvin Lee from the Lee Boys had started at the jam. And it just came together. And that's just part of the process. Like, if it feels good and everybody's having fun and they're proud of the musical aspect of it, let's do it. Like, let's not have to have it pigeonhole in a certain genre. Let's do whatever we want. And that's really it. It's like, I want to be able to do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to the creative aspect.
Absolutely. And that takes care of my question I was going to ask you, as far as what your songwriting process was like. So that's
So,
awesome.
and it's changing a little bit with COVID and everything. I've been working on doing everything remote, and the big challenge, obviously, with doing things remote is getting everybody to sound like they're in the same room, and that it was something that was, I mean, for lack of better terms, not manufactured. What I've been doing, and I had this thought at the beginning. Well, I mean, I've been kind of playing with the idea for the last couple of years. Was I wanted to take a drum track from one of our previous sessions, mute all of the instruments that had tracked on it, and pass it around to 15 of my favorite bassists to make their first move on. And so I did.
Oh, I remember reading this story. Okay, keep going.
So I had done some sessions with Jack Irons from the Chili Peppers and Pearl Jam. He's the original drummer for the Chili Peppers, and I had done some sessions also.
Are you pinging over there, John?
I am. Let me.
You are a busy man. Let me tell you, because I heard about 20 pings already on your phone.
I thought that the pinging was off. Oh, there you go. So, I had also done some sessions with Chad Smith from the Peppers, and
wow, that is so cool. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting like fangirl over here. I apologize.
It was hard for me not to go fanboy at the session, because, like, you know, the Chili Peppers were a huge influence for me growing up, and you know, just the opportunity to work with such amazing drummers and musicians and people was really far out. And so I wound up finding a couple tracks that I muted everything on, which are still gonna be released tracks. Don't I'm not scratching those. This was just an experiment that I wanted to try, and so I sent it out. The first round was the Jack Irons drums, and I sent it out to 15 of my guys. Who was it? Hadrian Furrow, Bobby Lewis, Rod Diaz from Suicidal Tendencies, Cody Wright. Just a whole Freak Bass Sherman. There was a bunch of different badasses.
How do you know all these people, first of all?
I suppose it's I've met just so many people along the way. I met a lot of the jazzers through Lee Rittenauer's camp. You know, obviously with George Clinton, met a lot of the funk people. Then we started working at Studio 606 on the music, which is the Foo Fighters' private studio. And that really opened up the doors to a lot of, you know, other musicians that wouldn't have necessarily been in our orbit, but fit the mold perfectly for the type of thing that we were doing. And so, I mean, it basically has become everybody knows somebody that might like to get in on it. And so it just becomes a word of mouth thing. And whether it's somebody that's like, well, why didn't you have me yet? Or somebody that's like, oh shit, my buddy's doing that. Like, it sounds awesome. Let's mix it up. So, and then I'll ask people too, you know, if I know somebody has worked with somebody in the past, I definitely will hit them up and say,
it sounds like you have a great support system, and that you must be a very kind-hearted and generous man to have so many people behind you. And I just want to say personally, I'm so glad that we are friends.
Likewise. Thank you. It has been really nice having people understand what it is, I guess, that we're trying to do, and make it not be impossible to try to achieve it. You know, and a lot of that comes in the form of people taking considerate, you know, price considerations on their fees for the tracks. You know, just doing whatever they can to make things easier, because as you can imagine, with an operation this size, it's certainly heavy duty when it comes to keeping track of the books. And
now, do you have a bookkeeper, or are you your own bookkeeper, John?
I got a bookkeeper.
Cliff says sorry he kept pinging you.
Hey, Cliff.
Cliff.
No, it wasn't just you, Cliff. There's a few people, but I'm glad that you made it.
Cameron Goldie Bass. What's up, Cameron? Who are some of the bassists that played on the isolated drum track?
Okay, so it's Remco Hendricks. He's out of the Netherlands. I don't know if you all have ever seen Remco's work, but it's fucking unbelievable. He's got this technique that I'm not even sure how to describe it, but it's nuts and it's so cool.
Describe it. Describe it to me, John. How would you describe it if you had to? In 3 words.
Okay, so there's a relentlessness to it.
Okay.
It's just like, yeah, I don't even know how to put it into 3 words because it's so different. But he's achieving these rhythmic patterns that are just wild. Let's see, Bubby Lewis, he played with Snoop and Dr. Dre. He's another one that's on the isolated. But see, let me just expand on the isolated drums. All of those have now been built into their own songs.
Okay.
And literally, it's hard to even tell that it's the same drum track, because what happens is, let's talk about the bass and drums. So when a bass player is putting their bass onto that drum track, it's masking different elements of the beat of the drum. So as you've got different bass players that are coming on and adding their part to that drum track, again, not on the same drum track, but on their each individual one, it's changing where that beat's being masked. And so it's bringing different aspects of the drums out in every single track.
Okay.
So at times it even sounds like they're 10, 15 BPM slower, but literally it's the same drum track.
Wow, that's so crazy.
And another, you know, it's interesting because it's almost like a Lego system, because as you're building up the songs, theoretically, you could move parts of one song into the other song and it will line up with the beat and line up with the changes and line up with everything. Mm-hmm. Which is really weird and bizarre, because you can have a song that somebody recorded to a whole different song flown into a different song, and it sounds like you tracked it to that song.
Bobby Easton says, you and your crazy ideas.
Bobby Easton. So Bobby helps me tremendously with this project. I have to shout out to Bobby. Shout
out Bobby.
Bobby is very, very involved with the project. He's doing all the mixing for the songs right now, and he's got a new baby and trying to juggle it all. So it's amazing to like see him be able to chisel that time and to be able to get the tracks done.
And to be with us here tonight. We really appreciate you supporting and joining us tonight, Bobby. Thank you so much.
Let's see, some of the other bassists. Hadrian Farreau, he's French bassist, played with Chick Corea. I met him through Lee Ritenour years ago.
Cliff says he loves your look.
Who's that?
Cliff says he loves your look.
Thanks, Cliff.
Love that hat. Don't tell my baby, but you were my boo first. That's what Bobby.
That Bobby? Yeah, boo. Bobby and I on the last tour, we drove the gear rental truck, and so we basically spent hours and hours and hours in a van together, cruising all through the East Coast with that. He's a guitarist for Delta Nove, and he also started the Long Beach Funk Festival.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is like a true funk festival, not some of this other bullshit that's out there.
It's a true funk festival.
Yeah, like it's a heavily curated funk festival that he puts a lot of time and thought into creating a lineup of players that represent the history of funk, and
that's amazing. Really
cool. Let's see, Cody Wright's another bassist. He's Asheville based. He's awesome. He's played with Eric Gales and a lot of other players. He's a pick player. I believe he's a guitar player first and switched over to bass.
Okay.
But he's
Wait, you said he's a pick player?
Yeah, because it's unique because he's like Bobby Vega, where he's pretty much solely on the pick, but he gets these rhythmic patterns that are just unbelievable. It's almost like double thumbing to some degree.
I've never figured out, like, it's not that I like hate on pick players. Like I probably am, because I just can't do it myself. I've never figured out how to use a pick before. Like it just seems so weird to me.
I dig. Like, I started as a guitar player and was comfortable with a pick for the first few years, and then I put down guitar, and when I went back to playing with a pick, I had this like weird yip where I couldn't even fucking play with it. It's almost like a baseball player when they get into that weird routine where they can't hit shit forever. It's like they get into this weird stance and they can't break it. And it's like, I get that way with a pick, and it's like I can't get comfortable. I feel like I'm gonna, I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I won't be able to, but
you know, shout out to all the pick players, actually, because you guys are doing some justice, because I certainly can't figure it out. So
yeah, I mean, there's really cool stuff that can be done with a pick. I mean, I certainly am a fingerstyle player, but you know, it's more so because I don't have that skill set down in my toolbox to pull out.
yeah, like, dude, like, I'll try to like cover, you know, Tool, and they're always, you know, using picks, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta like really move my fingers really fast, or sometimes I'll just move my, you know, for my index finger really fast, like I'm using a pick. But yeah, it's pretty crazy the stuff that you can do with it. So
Totally.
hats off to the pick players. You heard it here. Okay, fine.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so we were talking about bass players. Oh yeah, so the guy with the with the pick.
So Cody, yeah, he's a badass. And who's some of the other bassists? Ra Diaz from Suicidal Tendencies. Ra has just blown me away time and time again. His composition ability is unbelievable. I've had so much fun working with him on some of these songs.
And so you basically, you send him the drum track, and then he just does the
whatever you want.
whatever he wants.
Arrange it, put your shit down, and I'll send it off to and basically as it comes back, I'll listen to it and say, okay, well, if this could go to any keys or guitar player next that would fit this song perfectly, who would that be?
Yeah.
And so then I pass it to that next person, give them full reign basically to put whatever they want down. There's no wrong answer. Like for me, people ask me why I don't play on the songs a lot, because I am a bass player. And part of that is I can more objectively produce the music if I'm not critiquing my own playing on it. And if I'm listening to that music, oftentimes I'm thinking about what I could have been doing different instead of really paying attention to the whole of the tune. And there's a couple other reasons too, and that's because I really like to have that diversity of the sound. Like I would be bored if I was in a band that was just me on bass all the time.
Yeah.
It brings a creative aspect that elevates the entire project when you have multiple people. And it's also a you know, let's face it, I can hold my own as a bass player, but I'm not some of these guys that I've mentioned. And to me, it's like, I think it's going to be a stronger move on the song if I let this person or that person make the move. Yeah. If I hear something, I've got something to say, I'll track something, but it's not about me. It's about a celebration of all of these unbelievable players.
Yes, exactly. I kind of done a similar project like yours, but I just haven't put it out yet. But I did the same thing. I would like hire out different bassists, and people would be like, why aren't you just playing? And I'm like, dude, because I ain't Rudy Brew on the bass. Like, I'm not these people. I know that what they can do is so much, bring so much more of a different element than what I could do. So yeah, I think that that's a great thing that you're able to do and pass that on to other people. And then not only that, they're phenomenal musicians and bassists. So hats off.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fun as a bassist to be able to go back and listen to what's really going on in these players' performances. The hidden ghost notes that you might not pick up on once the rest of the instruments are stacked up on top, or people's different approach, where some people will hear something as a change, other people will plow right through that. And, you know, it's there's no wrong answer. It's just about creativity. Because also my theory is this: if I'm hiring somebody to play bass or play anything, I'm also hiring them for their creativity. I'm not hiring them for their chops. I'm hiring them for their creativity. So if I'm sitting there telling them what to play, I've boxed them in. I'm not hiring their creativity at that point. I'm basically hiring them to play this part that I have in my head better than I could.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work either. It's like, you know, there's a creative aspect that oftentimes gets missed because of different aspects pushing the musician certain ways within the song, within the writing aspect, within different elements of the song's creation. There's not often where a drummer is able to make the first move and dictate the arrangement and then build, you know, on top of that. Yeah. So I've basically been taking those concepts and building up songs to a point where, you know, once things get cracking, I can probably do an upwards of 70 to 100 songs a year.
Wow. Yeah. That is like, amazing.
I've done 70 since the beginning of COVID.
Holy cow.
That's not, I mean, and we're talking 21 of those were on shared drum tracks. And that was a specific window of time. I might play with that concept a little bit more as we go, but everything is still going to be in traditional songs with their own drums, with their own aspects. And that's what's been going on a lot lately, where I'll, you know, hire some drummers, tell them what I'm hoping to get vibe wise from the drum track, and then they shoot me an arranged drum track, and I take that and I send it to the next person, to the next person, and the next person.
Wow. So no wonder you wake up every day at 5. You are working on a whole lot of things, not just merch, let me tell you. How do you plan on, do you have a plan for distribution? Like, what's the deal? Like, how are these 70 songs going to get out into the world?
Well, that's always the big question with it, because, I mean, all in all, I've got about 130, 140 unreleased tunes in the Getdown catalog, pretty much all with different lineups. And I don't like to waste chances. And I feel like because of the names that are attached to these songs, I kind of want to wait till the right pathway opens up to be able to get the songs out there and properly heard. That might be a wrong way of thinking, and maybe I should just be launching them left and right. But I've been patiently just kind of building up the catalog, waiting for the right entity to come along and help get it out there, because there's so much time and hard work that all these musicians have put into the project, and I want it to be properly represented.
Yeah, no, I think it's better to just like wait than to just rush things anyways, you know. So I think that's a great approach to it. Tell me a little bit about the third album that you're working on right now.
So volume 3 is, yeah, what's happening with volume 3? Volume 3 theoretically exists 10 times over, so far as like content is concerned.
Okay.
I had been kind of straying away from the full album idea for a little bit, just to get some singles released. Because again, like when I can release the single and there's the art that's attached to it and the different merchandise, it enables me to be able to recover some of that, to be able to put into all of the packaging for volume 3 and getting all that stuff laid out and the song selection, so on and so forth. And really it's just a matter of me deciding on the tunes at this point, and then figuring out who the best artist would be to be able to design all the cover art and all the different visual elements of it.
Do you have like any direction at all as far as like artist wise, or maybe that's like a big top secret? I don't know.
I've got some different artists that I want to reach out to, but I can't necessarily drop the names just yet, just because.
We'll talk afterwards. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, totally. But that's always an exciting part of the process for me, is the artwork process, because it's a chance to just kind of, my piece of the equation at that point is done. The music's done, and I can sit back and wait for the surprise of this amazing fucking artwork that's going to be showing up, that I don't have any idea necessarily what it's going to be finished as a finished piece, and that part's awesome, because because the visual art typically doesn't stress me out the same way that the musical aspect does. You know, it's you commission the artist and then they do their thing.
Yeah.
With the music, you know, there's a lot of working with it and a lot of back and forth mixing and you know.
So do you do any of the like mixing before you pass it on to JP?
To Bobby. Yeah, I basically try to get everything where I want to have it level wise as a reference point. And then Bobby and I go back and forth, you know, probably 5 to 10 times on the mix, because we're doing everything remotely. If we were sitting side by side, you know, we'd be knocking them out left and right. But you know, there's a lag with this whole remote situation. So I have a pretty good idea of where I like things and which instruments I want accentuated in the songs and so on and so forth. My problem when it comes to mixing and when it comes to that final production aspect of it is, I don't know my way around reverb. I don't know my way around compression, and I suck with, you know, some of the other different things that I just need to spend.
Give yourself more credit, John. I will not let you talk like that.
I literally am so green to those aspects of it, because with the last 2 albums, I had a production partner, Frank Mapstone, that was very, very versed in, you know, all of the gear. Bobby's very versed in all of the gear. And then up at Studio 606, where we've done so much, Lou up there, the head engineer, you know, he knows that room in and out. So we've got people that are experts at that in the environment to help achieve, you know, what I can't do myself. And that's fine. Like I like to be able to utilize everybody for their talents, and
Yes.
I can't, you know.
No, absolutely. I love that you work with so many different people, and I think that if you did it all yourself, that you would be absolutely mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted, because it seems like a whole lot to take on, a whole lot of big nasty get down. How did you come up with the name for that for this project, John?
Okay, so that one's kind of funny. I think it was JP and Derek from the Booty Band. Derek also was part of the very beginning of the project, and we were just playing with some names, and I don't remember exactly who wound up saying the final name, but it was a combination of all of us just playing with different scenarios and different names. And then one night JP hits me up. This is after we had come up with the name, and he's like, dude, you gotta write out the acronym. I was like, what? He goes, you gotta write out the acronym. BONG.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, you gotta be shitting me. Like we literally didn't plan that. Everyone thinks that it was intentional, but it was totally like not at all planned.
Dude, that's the shit. I didn't even realize that. That's what's up. It was meant to be.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, we're definitely supporters of the marijuana movement.
JP says lots of blunts went into that name.
Holy shit, did it ever. Like, yeah, yeah.
Good times. So was that there at when you guys were doing that first session in New Orleans?
Was what?
When you guys came up with the name of the band?
No, that was probably maybe 2 months before.
Okay.
I would say that was somewhere in October of 2007, maybe early November, and then we wound up going to New Orleans on December 10th of 2007. It was
crazy. Oh my gosh, how much fun. So was that after or before Katrina?
It was about a year after, maybe a year and a half after, and there was still obvious signs of devastation down there, and there was a certain almost energy blanket that was covering the whole city, that you just felt the heaviness of what everyone had just gone through, and seeing everybody just trying to rebuild, and seeing in person some of the destruction, where you're walking by these houses and some of the different wards, and you're seeing the spray paint on the side of the houses that was signifying this many casualties, this many pets were there. Like, it was fucking crazy to just to see the aftermath of something just so horrific.
Yeah, but something so beautiful came out of it. And I think it's really cool that you guys did it there in New Orleans, because you guys were like contributing to the economy that desperately needed it at the time to, while staying there. So that's really cool. And New Orleans just has that vibe, man. It just has that energy and that flow. And I know that it is something that really needed to be rebuilt up, because the spirit was kind of lost through all of that tragic situation. But I'm really glad that the city has rebuilt itself, and
it's always a favorite place to go back to. And I've got so many friends and different musicians that I work with out of the New Orleans area, and it always feels good to be there. We did the rehearsals before the tour in 2018 down there, and again, like when I do the tours, I rent a big house, and we basically all stay family style in a giant Airbnb. And
wow, how fun! I'm coming on the next tour.
Hell yeah! We have a lot of mutual friends that were on that last tour. Henry Rowland was on that.
Was he really?
Yeah, Henry was with us. Mike Dillon. Wait, Mike was on the 2018 tour, but Mike and I are always working on different stuff. I love working with Mike. And
I just interviewed Mama D Tuesday night, and I did vinyl trivia with her, and I was like, okay, Mama D. And she's like, that's not the big nasty whatever is. And I was like, the big nasty get down. And she had a little story to tell about your music and how much she really liked you guys.
Oh, that's so awesome. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out.
Yeah, you do. And she got all the answers right. I was like, okay, we'll see if you know your son's music. And we played two other of his albums, and she guessed them right. So I told her, so she won a copy of the Big Ol Nasty Getdown, so I'm going to send it to her.
That's awesome. Mike's on that one. He's on
Past, present, future, number 7.
Yeah, that's a song. Speaking of the drum build, that's a song that was completely built passing it player by player.
Wow.
Yeah, so that song, let's see. It started with Jeffrey Suttles on drums, and Jeffrey's awesome. He's one of the Sexual Chocolates from Coming to America.
What?
Yeah, we've actually got
chocolate.
Yeah, believe it or not, we've actually got 3 of the band members from Sexual Chocolate in the project.
You are such a legend. Like you are hashtag legend. Like what is going on right now, dude? Oh my god. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, the funny thing about the Chocolates is they're all unbelievable musicians. Like they all have their own thing going. So for example, the sax player is Carl Denson in the movie.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Carl D's the sax player in the band.
I didn't even realize that. Oh my gosh, I gotta go watch Coming to America.
Oh, totally. Melvin Davis, the bass player, is Shaka Khan's musical director.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, and Jeffrey put the band together. He was Taylor Dane's drummer, TLC, Bill Withers, countless people he played with. The guitarist is Tori Ruffin from Morris Day and the Time.
Wow.
So it's, these are all players that, have significant careers beyond that movie that just through however came about, they all wound up, playing different parts in the project.
Oh my gosh, that is such a cool story. You have so many cool stories. You should write a book.
Oh, if I could get the concentration to sit in one place for the amount of time it would take,
Yeah, you just need a transcriber. Where are you located? I'll go transcribe everything for you.
My brother-in-law, he's an amazing writer, but you wait, you're here in California, right?
I'm in Santa Cruz.
Oh, okay. I love Santa Cruz.
Where are you?
I'm in LA.
Oh, cool. I'll have to go out there next time I visit Goody in San Diego.
Oh, hell yeah. Very cool.
Hi, Marcio. Hi, Kurt. JP, thank you all for still sticking around. This has been so much fun. We are having the best time ever with John Heintz, the producer, engineer, bassist, all around guru of the Big Ol Nasty Getdown. And we're just having a great time. If anybody has any questions for John, drop them in the comments and we will try to get to those. Moe's is in Santa Cruz. I love Moe's Alley in Santa Cruz.
Yeah, we played Moe's. The last gig we did with George Clinton in the lineup was at Moe's. And that was a fucking crazy night. Yeah, it was 2011.
Did George Clinton play with you guys?
Yeah, George had played 2 or 3 of our very first shows when we were first going live. Like he did the first big show with us in North Carolina, and then he was out for that Moe's show. Yeah.
And where was I? Where was my invitation?
Right.
What year was this?
2011, I think.
Where was I damn it, I'd only been here 1 year. I had not even established myself yet. That's why. So I'll give you a pass on that one. I had just moved here from Texas. So oh right my God, I totally would have been at that show. George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic is like one of my all-time #1 most favorite forever ever of all time ever. Band.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. They didn't really leave a green hit for anybody. They just kind of creatively just took it all the way. And
that's what I love. And not to keep comparing you to George Clinton in any way, but I just always loved how Parliament Funkadelic, their concept albums, like I'm very drawn to like concept albums, and that's why when I look at your projects, to me they kind of look like concept albums. Well, they are, right? Would you? I mean,
yeah, in some ways they are. Yeah.
With the whole everything, and I just love everything about it. But yeah, anyways, where were we going from there? Thanks, Sunshine. Hey, Steve, thank you for hanging out. Hey, Margie. Yeah, we were talking about Moe's Alley and your tour in 2011. Can you tell me like one of your favorite like road stories from tour?
That's an interesting question, because touring for me is not quite as enjoyable as it is for everybody else.
You're your kitty cat.
Yeah, Butters. Hey, what you doing, boo? You want to get in on this? You gonna come say hey? She may come say hey. She's my executive producer.
Oh, she's just a baby.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's very talkative, but she'll usually make an appearance on the interviews. So I'm sorry. What was the last question?
Road stories.
Okay, so road stories. I mean, okay. Let me just be honest about the road. Okay. The road for me is horrifically stressful. It's tough because I'm trying to coordinate so many moving parts and have so much financially on the line that I can't enjoy the musical aspect a lot of times, because I'm either worried about how much I'm going to be taking a bath financially that night if the crowd's not there. I don't have that separation. And that's also part of why I've put down the bass for a while, is because I associate that so much, the stress of the business side, and it spills into my playing.
You have PTSD.
I for real have PTSD. I got fucking, I have dreams at night where I don't make it to the fucking stage, that somebody's like trying to keep me and telling me I'm not supposed to be there.
John, I don't like this. It's okay. I can give you therapy and I will help you through all of this.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to help you start playing your bass again. But so are you like tour manager then, is basically what you're saying when you're on the road?
Well, JP and I tend to try to, I guess, hold it all together when we're on the road. And I don't mean to sound like it's a train wreck or anything. It's just, again, it's a lot of moving parts, and it's a lot of people to make sure that everybody's comfortable, that everybody is being taken care of, and you know, that we're doing everything that we can to make sure a crazy family vacation goes as smooth as possible.
Oh yeah, especially, you know what I mean? A lot of crazy musicians.
Totally. And for the most part, like, everybody's super respectful, and you know, everybody tries to help where they can, but there's just some logistical stuff that it becomes something that oftentimes falls on me or falls on JP, and mainly because JP's just been around for so long and he understands, you know, what we're kind of dealing with to some degree. And so, and then I did have a tour manager on the 2018 tour.
Oh, there's Butters. Hi, Butters. You cutie patootie.
Yeah, she's chilling.
Oh my goodness, look at her. How adorable. Stephen Villardo. Do you know Stephen Villardo?
I do know Stephen. Stephen and I went to grade school together. Hey, Stephen. Yeah. As a matter of fact, we may have been in the very first band together, like back in like church, like folk group or something. Like, there's a picture of us with guitar.
Post the picture, Stephen. Post the picture. No, that is so cool. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't want to keep changing the subjects.
No, it's totally cool.
Because I did want to get to actually like just how you got into music, because we skipped past all that and just went straight into the project, which is like, I'm fine with that. Wait, what does JP say? All right, we need 2 packs of Newports, 4 cases of beer, throat coat, 2 vegan meals, a quart of lube, 27 fresh pairs of socks. That is tour manager life, huh? So you guys split the roles on that, huh?
Yeah, we try to. It's you know, oftentimes it just becomes seeing what needs to, where needs to be filled in. and we just kind of jump to whatever role that is to just try to make it work, because it's difficult to bring a tour manager and more personnel into an already gigantic operation to some degree. I mean, you know, we're a small band is usually 13 people. So
that's for you guys.
For us, you know, a small band would be like 13.
I was like, a small band for me is like 3.
Oh yeah, that's the dream, right? You got 3 people, and that's all you got to worry about.
Or 2 nowadays. A lot of people are doing. Or some people are doing it all themselves, you know. And shout out to those people.
Let me take the Butters out of the room for a second. She seems to be quite chatty right now.
Butters is chatty, so Mr. John is taking her out of the room.
There we go. All right.
She just wanted to be a part of the talk, and now she is very hurt, and you are going to get in trouble, mister, after this interview.
Yeah, she's going to yell at me for the rest of the night, probably. She's such a shit talker.
Cool. So what did you guys travel in whenever you were doing this tour?
Vans and planes. Vans,
planes, and automobiles.
Mm-hmm. But you know, we've got a new tour, a new booking agent that's really working on a lot of stuff for way down the line that we'll be running buses at that point. It's hard when you've only got a few shows and you've got to deal with dead days on the buses, like, you know, the showing up to pick up and then getting the bus back to wherever it's going. So with some of these longer runs that we're hoping to do towards the end of next year, it'll definitely be buses. And it's also, you know, the one thing I learned is there's a safety element that really needs to be adhered to. And when you put in a lot of musicians that are fatigued from a show late night in a van together to go, even if it's an hour, you're putting everybody at risk because of the fatigue of everybody, and it's just not worth.
Oh, you mean driving wise? Because somebody else
driving wise versus having a bus where there's a professional driver who's rested, you know, and allows us to continue on without having to push the limits physically or whatever to just try to keep up with that rigorous schedule.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so, like, you know, we got a lot of fucking road dogs in the project, so they're not afraid of vans and afraid of those late nights. But I think as we get older, I think it's just a smarter, better move to.
And then how do you deal with all the merch whenever you're doing these shows and have all this different artwork and albums? And
we have usually a merch person that's out on the road with us. Last run. Yes. But I'd ask you to play some bass too.
Well, yeah, of course, duh.
Yeah, I've always wanted to have the project work where literally everybody is getting part stage time.
Yeah.
Where it's the person running front of house, whether it's the person in merch. I think everybody should get that stage time and that time where they're being celebrated just like everybody else on that stage, because everybody's role is critical.
You are so sweet.
Oh, thanks.
More people should be like you. Everybody out there, be more like John. He is the sweetest ever. You are so
I'm sensitive to being left out or people being left out. Like when I came into the music industry at 30, and that's really old to come into the music industry. It's like saying you want to be an Olympic gymnast at 30. It's like, okay, good luck. But I got really lucky with just different things lining up, and then, you know, having the idea for the project and so on and so forth. But there were so many times that I remember just feeling left out and feeling like butthurt because I wasn't on stage or whatever, or this or that. And I don't know. I never want anybody to feel unnoticed or feel like they're not important. And so if we can figure out a way that everybody gets that jolt of energy from the rush of the stage, then everybody's gonna be happier in the end. Everyone's gonna feel more valued, and oftentimes the merch people are musicians.
Yeah.
The different road crew players are oftentimes musicians.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Fuck it, you know what? Let's all play.
Dude, that's super badass. I love hearing that. Because I feel like there's just so much competition, and I understand, like, obviously we are musicians and we are at the end of the day trying to sell a product, but I just feel like there's so much competition when there could just be so much more like joy and like people supporting each other more than like competing against each other.
Yeah, it's interesting. The ego is a really fragile thing, and it's become really apparent that a lot of times creatives do feel threatened by pushing somebody else's art. And I look at it the total opposite, and including the way I run my band store and the merch is I carry other bands merch in my store.
That is so cool.
Because I feel like, I mean, if we're on a very basic level, I mean, I don't give a shit if I sell my album or Mike Dillon's album or the Booty Band's album or the Fritz's album, as long as somebody's walking away with something from that store they're gonna enjoy. I'm stoked to create a spot to provide that. And it also gives a chance for me to be able to show off some of the bands that I support, the bands that are part of the project, and give people more reasons to come back to the store. So for example, if I'm a typical band and I've got one album and a couple t-shirts, I've got 3 reasons for somebody to come to my store. And then I've run out of reasons until my next thing appears, which might be 4 years from now in the form of a new album, might be a new t-shirt 2 years from now. But if I've got all of the people that I'm supporting or that I believe in that store, and I'm able to buy the merch from them directly, even if it's at a wholesale level, they're making money, they're finding another platform for exposure, and I'm giving people more reasons to come back to the store to explore new music, find out who some of these people are that are in the project, and be able to make it more of an interactive thing, which is why we have days where 1,000 people will come to the band store site, which, I mean, that's a lot of fucking people for.
That's a lot of fucking people.
That's a lot of people. And it's because we have elements that appeal to a lot of different demographics. We have stuff for the collectors. We have stuff for the audiophiles. We have stuff for, the tchotchke collectors. We have people, there's always
tchotchkes.
Yeah, tchotchkes are the shit, like endless tchotchkes.
Oh my God, that is such a fabulous idea. And I've never heard of anybody ever doing that before. I mean, I'm sure there possibly are other people doing that, but dude, that's amazing. It's genius. And I wish more people would do that.
I do too, because look, I mean, if we're coming down to the bottom line and we're talking about a band's sustainability, there's a certain point that ego needs to be put aside. If you can make $5 off of your friend's fucking album and put money in their pocket in the process, do it. Like, why not? Like, it's better for you to make the $5 than, Joe Schmo record company that's trying to push it.
Thank you.
It's like, this is a chance for everybody to be able to control our merchandising and be able to push things and move units in a new kind of way that doesn't depend on old school thinking. And we move a lot of records as a result of that. But also it helps having unbelievable artists and artwork attached to it.
Yeah, and it's like a whole package deal. Zan says she loves it. What's up, Zan? Margie says that this is what it's all about, and it's very humbling to hear you say that. And thank you so much for your contribution. Cameron says, I wish everyone thought that way. I do too. But you know what, guys? Let's start a fucking revolution and let's all start thinking this way and let's start supporting each other instead of constantly trying to compete with each other. That's always been my issue, but it's not about me tonight. It is about you, John. So let's hear some more about you. Can you tell me how you got into playing bass?
Well, so if I'm not mistaken, it was, I think, out of not wanting somebody to outdo me. I think that's what it came down to. Is there was a guitar player in my little Catholic elementary school who was talking about getting a bass. And I heard that and I was like, I think I'm going to get me the bass first.
Wait, so you were in elementary school?
It was in elementary school. Like I was in 4th grade, I think, or something. I had learned guitar at that point, playing in like the church youth groups and shit like that. And yeah, and I think it was Paul DeBrucker. He was talking about getting a bass. And I was like, oh shit. And so I asked my mom, and she's like, well, what about like an electric guitar? And it just so happened that MTV was on in the background, and the song Cult of Personality was on.
Okay.
And Vernon Reid's guitar solo pops up. And that's literally one of my favorite guitar solos in any song ever.
Okay.
And I basically looked at her, I'm like, do you want noises like that coming from the basement? And she's like, well, we'll go look at basses.
Speaking of basses, Tony Walters, what is up?
Tony, look, we got right here, we got Mono Basso.
Tell us about this beautiful bass right here, John Heintz.
This is an unbelievable bass. Actually, a friend of ours, Harold Hankel, just dropped this off to me to check out. Tony and I have known each other for a minute now, and we've talked about different stuff with maybe doing a custom build, and I've been really wanting to get my hands on one of these. And
what do you think?
Yeah.
Are they just the best basses ever?
They're awesome. They are absolutely awesome. And I'm definitely finicky when it comes to basses. I'm very much an enthusiast and connoisseur of basses. And so it takes a lot for me to be impressed by a bass. And this one, the craftsmanship and the woodworking is just top notch, and the playability and the sound, like I'm so stoked.
I can't wait to get to play one. I was able to do an interview with Tony last season on the show, and we were able to talk about all his flow, and he showed us a lot of his basses. And then I was hopefully whenever NAMM comes back around, then I'll be able to meet Tony, because I know he's out in Oregon. But I can't wait to get my hands on one of those basses. They're great. And I mean, not to get all woo, but there's like a certain energy that comes from the basses, his basses, that just feels like you can feel the fucking love that went into them. Tony, we love you. He is such a kind, he reminds me a lot of you too. He's very kind-hearted, and you can always just tell that, I feel like, just upon first impressions. Like, you can tell whether somebody's like acting or is like actually a kind-hearted individual. And me and Tony's interview, it was just like it flowed so well, and he was just so sweet and kind about everything, and just was so well spoken. But anyways, Tony, obviously we're fans. Yeah, absolutely. Great work, man. Great work. This interview suddenly turned into Tony Walters' interview. He goes, "You two are awesome. Love you too." So Steve Steve, sorry if I mispronounced your name. He wants to know, are there any artists in the works that you're able to share at this point? Yes. And Steve's another great guy. I can't even tell you how much he and his wife Barbara have supported the project over the years. Oh man, he's one of the good ones for sure. So yeah, there's a couple.
there's a new print by Matt Lunig that's coming out. That's part of it's the cover for one of our songs that's on that drum track. It's called 10 Hits, and it's got Mike D on it. It's got Norwood from Fishbone, Larry from Primus, Jack Irons from Chili Peppers. Who else? Bobby Easton's on it. Am I missing anyone? I usually have a spreadsheet with all of the songs. Sure. I'm usually good remembering, you know, who's on who, but like this past several months, literally there's been probably 100 musicians that have been part of the songs, and just trying to keep track of who's on what's been
wow.
I mean, when I listen to them, I can definitely tell who's on what, but just as like an instant recall thing, it's.
Steve got very excited. He got very giggity about that.
Yep, there's the Matt Lunig print. We have some stuff from James Flames that's coming out. We've got some stuff from Jim Mazza coming out. There's I'm in talks.
These are all artists that you're talking about?
Yeah, these are all visual artists.
Okay.
And in the merch people that or the people that do the designs for the merch. So for example, like what have we got? We've been doing this lately. This was Steve's idea because he's really hip in the collector world. He's like, why don't you do slip mats, like turntable slip mats?
I know, I saw it, and I was like, I want them all.
Yeah, I'll send you a couple. So we've been doing like the slip mats and you know, taking the artwork from the albums and the circles and all that, and turning them into some fun different merch stuff. And
that is such a freaking awesome idea, dude. Just everything you do is awesome. Do you have the enamel pins yet that everybody's doing now that came back around apparently 10 years ago?
Yes. Actually, you know what? They just arrived yesterday.
Shut up.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna just preview one real quick.
Yes, you've seen it here first, folks. Woo!
Yeah, let me just preview. This is James Flames. He did the pin. There we go. Well, that's gonna be hard to see because
no. Just put it up just a tad bit. Oh, there. Down a little bit. Oh, that's it, dude. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Whoa.
So those are all signed and numbered, and that's going to be part of a.
Where does he sign them? In the back or what?
Or I'm sorry, they're all numbered.
Oh yeah, I got you.
And so that's going to be part of a 10-inch vinyl set that's similar to the 7-inch that you showed that Mark Spusta did.
Okay.
So James designed 2 different images, front and back, and he designed 2 different images for the 2 different songs that are going on it. And then we're doing a matching slip mat and the pins, some stickers, magnets, maybe a mask and a duffel or a tote bag or something, and do it.
Oh, you're gonna bundle it up?
Yeah, bundle it up, because like the thing is that I'm learning is with also having the art fan base, they just sometimes don't want to mess with the music, or they don't have a turntable. So basically I'm alienating a whole section of potential buyers by only offering it in the form of a vinyl. Okay. So what I'm doing this round is doing some, like I think it's 300 of the 500 units are going to be with vinyl. Okay. And then the other 200 will have something that replaces the vinyl and the turntable slip mat to still have the same value as
so to just have like the redemption code for the
yeah, and then they'll still get the prints and still get the, you know, all the shit that goes with it.
How fun. So who was the artist of this?
Mark Spusta. That's the George Clinton dog. Okay. That's, yeah. And then Mark also did he did that one as well.
This one too. Okay, cool. And then he also did, so this is the one that I love this print so much.
Me too. Like he nailed it with that one. Like he got the vibe and really understood the personalities of both Sydney and George to some degree with the way he represented them in that. I was blown away. It's got some elements of one of my favorite artists, R. Crumb, and you know, Mark's got obviously his own style, which is fucking so dope. But you know, there's reminiscences of some of that early artwork that I was exposed to that really hits home with those pieces.
You know who you should work with? One of my really good friends from here in Santa Cruz is Jimbo Phillips, like the legendary like skate.
Yes.
Are you friends with him?
Yeah, we actually had talked about doing something a while back, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure whatever happened with that.
I'm gonna tag him in it right now.
Yeah, I would love to work with Jimbo. I was a skater growing up, and the Santa Cruz artwork that he and his dad are responsible for is easily some of the most important artwork to me just in my life, because that was some of my earliest exposure to all that awesome stuff. I've actually got a Santa Cruz deck sitting right here.
Wait, the screaming hand or what? Oh yes, dude, that's so fucking epic.
I believe that is part of the Phillips family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love all that stuff.
His son Colby is now taking over too, and is like all over the art, and yeah, his whole family's super sweet. But he's a fucking awesome guy, and he's just so sweet and friendly too. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be love to
yeah,
work.
I would love to do something with him, just with his artwork's so bad.
We're putting it in, it was already put in the universe, we're putting it back in the universe, and then it's gonna happen, and then I'm getting like at least a free turntable pad thing out of this or something.
Oh yeah. You got a care package coming for sure.
Have you thought about doing like skateboard decks?
I'm talking to somebody right now about it, and I'm being really picky with that stuff because I did spend a lot of time in the skate world. I worked with Jay Adams before he passed away, OG Dogtown skater, and have spent, you know, a lot of time around, you know, the Bones Brigade camp, the Dogtown camp, and because of being around that and wanting to, you know, not put some piece of shit skateboard out that, you know, they're gonna look at and be like, yeah, nice try. I want to do something, you know, again, like everything else that's the best quality that you can get, because to me it's about having a product at the end of the day that when somebody is willing to part with their money to support you and your project, you better be bringing something awesome back in return. You know what I mean? It's like I see like these shitty t-shirts that people put out. I see the shitties that people put out. It's like, you know, it might cost a little bit more, but you're going to have people talking about the quality. You're going to have people coming back time and time again because they know that you care.
And it's kind of like this, not to interrupt you, I apologize, but it's just like your albums and your stage show and everything. You put so much quality and so much work into it that when they leave that show, they are always going to remember that. They're going to be like, oh my fucking God, that was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
I hope that everybody leaves feeling that way.
That's how they leave, John. You tell yourself that because that's the damn truth, and I know it.
I mean, I certainly see a lot of smiles when people are leaving. I don't see that many people that are like broken down in tears or angry faces or whatever.
They're just so mind blown about it, you know? They're processing it, you know?
I mean, just the sheer number of people on stage, I think, is probably just shocking to most people.
Next time you do your next tour, what do you think about band members? How many would you take on the road?
I'm starting to kind of sketch out what that lineup might look like, and I'm hoping to try to this time around, my goal is going to be probably 12 musicians, one tour manager, and probably 2 crew / musicians. So it'll probably be 15 total, which will look like a bus and probably a van.
And like a trailer probably or something.
Yeah. It's so hard to get so many people around, and you want to do it comfortably and respectfully too.
Oh, absolutely. I know it's like a whole, I've done many of tours and vans and all kinds of, in a school bus one time. That was just a dream come true. Me driving the school bus. Here comes Sunny in a full big ass Bluebird. Watch out, motherfuckers. But no, it is. Tour's no joke, and it's very exhausting. I mean, not only for the musicians, but obviously for the person putting it together and having to like manage everybody and the money and the financials and making sure everybody gets fed and everybody's happy. And, you know, at the end of the day, at the end of the tour, everybody's gone home with like a good experience. So
yeah, it's important. I want everybody to walk away feeling good about it. So everybody wants to do it again, because it's, you know, it's the sum of all the parts. Everybody's critical to the project. And it's important that everybody that has spent time working on it feels good about it. I mean, believe me, there's been a couple instances over the years where there's been some shit that's gone down, and that really is a shame. But, you know, you can't help it when you've got 250 people that are part of the project, musician wise.
yeah.
Like, and counting.
Limit down the numbers, John. And it's time to start cleaning house. No, I'm just joking. I love you so much just for that, just for taking on that sheer amount of like, and the thing is with musicians, they all come with these like quirky personalities and like all these like weird things, and like props out to you for being able to manage it all, because I probably would have had a mental breakdown, to be honest. So.
Oh, I've had my share of mental breakdowns, don't get me wrong. Like, there's moments I'm in the corner curled up, like shaking, wondering how the fuck I wound up here.
And Butters is petting you on your unicorn hat saying, "Get the fuck up!"
Yeah.
Stop crying. What's up, Lindsay? Thanks for hanging out. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. We're having the greatest time. We're running a little later than we were expecting, but we are just having so much to talk about that it's not really our fault. John, let me know if you have to go at any time.
I'm chilling. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to talk about a few more things with you before we get bouncing. We've only been on here an hour and a half. It feels like 10 minutes to me.
Yeah, I just looked at the clock and was shocked to see that much time had gone by.
It just flew by.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to ask maybe your advice. You know, times have been really rough right now for not just musicians, obviously, just for everybody, but especially for artists and I guess people that do depend on the entertainment industry. And I see a lot of people kind of getting down and maybe like giving up. Music wise, you know, just kind of trying to toss shit out of the door, even though they're amazingly talented. Like, do you have like any words of like inspiration or advice that you could give to people that are maybe feeling like maybe they just want to give up on music because they're just
yeah, that's a tough one, because it's so easy to be affected by what's going on, because one, you know, as a player, you're putting so much emotion and your heart and soul into it, and then the discouragement of not having an outlet to share with people, that, you know, is definitely something that I've seen. I mean, also from a financial level, obviously, you see so many people that are just struggling and getting wiped out. And I mean, the key has really been, for me with this, has been adaptability. Just like not being stuck in any one mindset of this is the formula to be able to continue on. It's a constant change and shift moment by moment, and making decisions that are not panic based. Like, I think when people make panic-based decisions, they tend to rush things. They obviously put stuff out that might not be their top performance. And I think if everybody starts to stick together, there's opportunities that can be built based upon the community that we already exist in. Everybody's more or less in the same boat. The people that are putting on shows, you know, that's a tough one for me, because I'm torn down the middle with that. And on one side, I see people that just need to go back to work, that need to be able to get out there and perform just for income and for, you know, preservation of the soul. But at the same time, it's also encouraging people to gather in spaces that are continuing to fuel the problem. So we've got this right down the middle conflict between needing to do what has to be done to survive, while making a decision to maybe compromise the survival.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? And a lot of that is, you know, figuring out what exists within the catalog of a band, work that hasn't been finished, new ideas. Like, fuck, if you're a band and you're looking for something to do, just for the hell of it, mute everything but a drum on one of your existing songs and send it out to your fucking friends and build something up. You know, it's like, it keeps people working, it keeps people, you know, creating. If you can toss them a little bit for it, we're all winning in the process. Yeah. But we've got to stick together. I mean, it's the labels are fucked, the promoters are fucked, to some degree management companies are fucked. Everybody's fucked right now.
The clubs, the security guards, the bartenders,
yeah, everybody.
Yeah.
But we're creative people. That's what we do, is create. So let's create a system that works for us. I mean, this sounds like a fucking pipe dream, and I'm probably gonna look back and be like, shit, you're blowing sun, you know, just this whole idea that's not possible. Maybe it is
possible. Anything's possible, John. You've already proven that. You've already proven that.
Yeah, I figure if the get down can happen, I mean, fuck. There's a lot of things that are a lot simpler than the get down that could make a lot of difference in what we're doing right now. And there's ways to, like, I'm not necessarily dialing into anything specific, because everybody's circumstances are going to be different. And you know, each individual is going to know what they're holding in their toolbox to work with. But like, dust off some of that shit that you walked away from years ago and
pause it this way, right? Dust it off.
Yeah, like, you know, take another look at some of that stuff. Maybe I've got tunes that are 12 years old that I've pulled back into the rotation that I now love. At the time, I wasn't identifying with them. Yeah. And I didn't know what the next moves were. But, you know, as time went on and I developed as a musician and as a producer and was just in the scene more, I was able to hear things differently and come with different ideas that were able to complete the unfinished item.
Yeah.
And so I think everybody's got a lot of what they need at their disposal, but through the panic, they're not able to necessarily see it.
That is great. I've never really actually put it into that perspective before. So thank you for putting it into that perspective. I've heard it like that before. Yeah. Lindsay says, I will say from a fan standpoint, COVID has really been a positive for the fan connection, for the artists that have taken the time to connect with fans, and that will come back in your favor. You guys fucking kick ass. You guys have adapted and made leaps and bounds with the connections. I will say, I think that is a really cool thing about COVID. That didn't sound right. That's a cool thing, I guess, about, or making a positive out of a negative, is that we do have to find like other ways to adapt. And like a lot of us are live streaming or like finding different ways to like connect with our audience. Me and you may not even be like chatting right now if it wouldn't be for COVID. You know what I mean? Like it's all about stepping outside of the box. And it's really easy to like fall into like depression and getting really sad because you're not like getting that energy out that maybe you would necessarily get out on a stage, which is where I normally get my energy out at. But you know, you have your living room still and you have like your laptop so you can still like put on your own performance, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think that that's great. We just all need to really like just have a different mindset and really use this time to create new music, work on old music, make connections, and you know, make the best of the situation.
Yeah, I think the community is becoming stronger and closer as a result. That, you know, it's obviously a terrible situation that we're in with COVID, but there's unique opportunities within the chaos to be able to try new things, to be able to explore all kinds of different avenues that, you know, I look at it like, it doesn't always have to be music that the energy is going into for me. As long as there's a way that I can tie in the musical aspect to it and have it all make sense, then I'm down to try a lot of different things. And that's, I really think it's just going to be coming together. Everybody really needs to just come together, and we need to stop, you know, shunning the word networking. You know, everyone hates the word networking.
Not me. I love it, especially when I'm at NAMM.
Yeah, totally. And I do too, because there is an element of beyond the talent, it's who you know. And whether that's in the form of your peers as fellow musicians or people that are making the decisions with the different business aspects of the industry, it's good to have the access to so many different people that might know the answer to the question that I have. Because I learned a long time ago, I'm not going to know everything. But if I do know the right phone call to make for all the people that have the answers to those questions I don't know, then we're good. You know,
that's why I called you, because you're the man with all the answers. Oh my God, I love you so much. You are such an amazing person. Just everything, this whole conversation tonight, just the mindset that you have is just really been very enlightening for me, and I hope for everybody at home. We've been on here for an hour and 45 minutes, you guys. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comment section, because I'm sure John has a life he needs to get on with. Let's see. I'm obsessed with the community aspect of this, and it's literally changed my life. You guys may not see the positive right now, but I promise this will turn into a huge asset. I think you're right, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay.
It's a great comment to make. You guys were, thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for like hanging out with us. We've had like such a great time. I think that we're going to have to bring John on the show again, because there definitely is not enough time in 2 hours to just like get through all of this. It's just all mind blowing, really. And I just love your positive like outlook on everything.
Thank you.
Could you tell me a little bit about the instruments behind you, or your setup, or what you got going on back there?
Oh my.
John, oh my.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of well, all right. So this is kind of a wall of amps behind me.
Man, look at you.
So years ago, I had this fucking crazy situation happen. Like I had mentioned, we did a lot of recording up at the Foo Fighters private studio, and I think it was in 2015. I was up there working on something, and I asked one of the guys at the studio, "What do you guys got going on next week?" And they give me this look of like stress, like. And I'm like, "What's up?" He goes, "We got to go through all the Foo's gear that we're getting ready to sell, because we got to make room for everything that's coming back from Europe." And I was like, "Oh, do share what you got."
Here.
So next thing you know, studio manager's calling me. He's like, "Hey, I heard you were looking for some gear. What do you need?" I was like, "Well, I could use a backline." He goes, "Ah, no problem, got you." And so he's like, "Why don't you come up and check out the warehouse and see what you might want?" So I get up there, and all of like it's literally like 4,000 square feet of fucking road cases. It's ginormous. It's 3 times the size of my house.
So right? You bought all the Foo Fighters gear, is what you're telling me?
So I wound up with basically like I wound up buying all of it.
Lindsay said you had me at Foo Fighters private studio. Lindsay, you've got to go back and listen to this whole damn interview, girl, because man.
Here's a cool one that came out of the studio. I don't know if you can see the badge on there, the Foo Fighters badge. It's probably hard to.
Don't mind my friend Brenton snoring over here. I swear. He was like, let me see, I just want to watch the interview, and he falls asleep on the floor and he's snoring. Oh my gosh. She said her mind is fucking blown. Yeah, my mind has been blown since
mine was too. Don't get me wrong, like every time I would leave the studio with a truckload of gear, I would keep thinking that somebody was going to call me up and be like, "Bro, you got to bring that back. We're just fucking with you." because they literally were it was such a kind gesture the way the transaction went down. Like I'll forever be grateful for the opportunity that they gave me to be able to outfit the project with the kind of gear that we need for that heavy of a road situation with that much gear that's needed, and make it be something that I was able to afford. And
you're not allowed to lick the gear, sorry.
But it's been crazy because they've never sold their gear before, and I wound up pretty much with, I think it was like somewhere around 30 amps and a bunch of road cases, a bunch of Dave Grohl's personal amps and shit.
Dude, what the fuck? Who even are you? You're from a different planet, aren't you? You're not from this planet. You're an alien, aren't you? I got you.
I've had some really unique situations where I guess I'd call it more memorabilia has found its way to me to be the custodian of for whatever period of time. Because I, years ago when I was working with George, I wound up with half of the body of his original artwork. So there, like behind me, that's, I don't know if you can see kind of like that dog in the corner.
Yeah.
That's like George's self-portrait of himself.
What? Wait, so you got George Clinton artwork?
Oh yeah, I got tons of it. That's George behind me. That's a George piece.
Dude, you are the coolest person I've ever met in my life. Can you believe my best friend?
Absolutely, I can be your best friend, but I'm far from the coolest person that you've ever met.
You are. Stop it.
That is one guarantee in life. I am not the coolest person.
Yes, you are. That hat says so. That hat says.
The hat is the coolest thing ever. I am just the wearer of the coolest thing ever. But if I put it on Butters, she'd be the shit. So.
Oh, that's what Tony said. Can you have an artist? Hold on. Tony wants to know, can you have an artist do a take on Butters for a single release of the Get Down?
Okay, so yes. I had this crazy idea once. I was like, everybody loves puppies and kittens. Why don't I just do a fucking album cover that's full of puppies and kittens?
Oh yeah, I'll get it. I'll buy it.
And they're like, all right, let's do that. So actually, one of the artists I'm working with right now, we are developing something that's cats and birds in a very like old Felix the Cat, or who was the other one back in the day?
I know you're Fritz? No.
Yeah, there was Fritz, but there was Garfield, but there was Heathcliff.
Oh, Heathcliff. Yeah. Oh, he was such a little troublemaker, that Heathcliff.
Totally. And I'm guessing it'll probably be more in like the Heathcliff style.
Oh my gosh, that'll be fun. Oh my goodness, you have so many fun things. Can we get hats on your website at your shop?
Not yet, because I haven't figured out, like, I think, and I might be wrong, but I feel like New Era makes the best hats out there. And I can't find a way to be able to order them without having to order 1,000 units. So there's that.
So you only order the best hats in the whole entire world. I was like, because look, I need to add to my collection of hats. So yeah. I need a big old nasty get down hat.
You know who has a killer hat is Henry Roland, Henry and the Invisible.
Oh, I know.
His black on black invisible hat is awesome. I should ask him where he gets those done.
And his sunnies too. He always has the best sunglasses on. His are always like dazzled out. I always just have like, whatever. We need to get some Henry Invisible style. Yeah. Maybe he'll be a personal fashion assistant.
Totally. He's the shit. Like, I love that he and his dad go out on the road together and they've got just this amazing bond, and they've got a great merch game going too.
Oh, I know. And he actually, I think I already told you this, but he was actually the very first guest on my show, on my podcast. And so I was like super nervous about it. And when we're done, I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, all right, dude, that was my first one. And he was like, that was your first one? I was like, yeah. He was like, dude, you were born for this. He was like, I had no idea that this was your first episode. I was like, yeah. But he won the Bootsy contest at NAMM this year. And so now he's actually on Bootsy's like label, or like on his new record.
Yeah, he's killing it. Henry's a fucking alien. Like, it's unbelievable how many instruments that dude plays at such an elevated level. It's kind of frustrating, isn't it?
He's done 82 songs since COVID started too, because he does his love stream.
Yeah, he's an endless like creative force. Like, it's just mind blowing.
And thank God for musicians like that too, because then they give us like inspiration. But then they also like, then sometimes I'm like, maybe I should just put my bass down and become an interviewer for the rest of my life.
Totally.
Just interview badass people.
Oh, you want to humble a musician quickly? Put fucking Henry on.
And he's the sweetest guy ever. You would never know in a million years. This guy is just like, fuck it. Oh my God, I can't even with him. And I've known him forever because he's from Austin.
Yeah.
We like grew up didn't grow up, but like in our 20s or whatever, we would like play shows together in Corpus and stuff. So Lindsay says if she licks your Foo Fighter gear, she'll sanitize it post-lick. No, can't do that, Linz. But she also says Felix and Heathcliff are money. So I think you have something going right there for you. All right, man. We are 5 minutes away from 2-hour talk time. What other last things do we want to talk about? How can we support John Heintz and the Big Ol Nasty Getdown?
Oh, geez. I mean, merch sales is always nice. Go the store. Now I don't even remember.
Now my dog's hacking up. Like, what is going on with our animals? Okay.
I mean, I think one of the biggest things that could support the project as a whole is just take some time to dig into it a little bit and learn about some of the musicians that are part of it and what bands they come from. And because I think people will find that I've spent a lot of time handpicking the majority of the players for the project, and everyone I'm picking for a reason. And a lot of that's because of their contribution to music historically, what they're bringing to the table currently. Or if they're just a good person. And I think that there's a lot of undiscovered music that lies within the lineup of the project on its own that could be a fun listen. And it's definitely going down a rabbit hole because there's a lot of content and music to check out. But I would say be checking out the different artist bands and checking out the album, and just being awesome.
Support. Everybody, I will drop links and comments for the Big Ol Nasty Getdown once we are done with this interview. Yes, Eric, Santa Cruz this weekend. Dude, please support this guy. He is such a fucking badass. If you're just joining us, you really want to rewind and watch this. Again, I will drop it in the podcast when I get a chance. I'm still trying to upload Mama D's podcast from Tuesday, but give me a minute, people. I'm one person. I love you all. Thank you all for your support. We talked about mostly all things John Heintz. I didn't really get to touch too much about his background, but he did start playing bass at about, what, 10, you said?
Yeah, probably 10.
About 10. And then he's worked with a slew of musicians. You guys can look him up and you would be mind blown by the amount of musicians that he's worked with. We talked about the Big Ol Nasty Getdown, the 2 albums, all the artwork, the shops, about artists just contributing and coming together instead of all this competition, you guys. There's so much more that we have to talk about, and John will definitely be back on the show again, right, John?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up unless you have any last things you want to say.
Wear a mask. Everybody, wear a fucking mask. Stop being the problem.
Wear a mask, everybody. This was awesome. Thank you, Stephen, for sticking around. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. Steve, thank you. Cover some more in Bong episode 2. Yes, we definitely will. I promise. It did fly by. I love all you guys. Smile, be kind. You never know the battles that people are facing within themselves and their struggles. And on that note, we are going to peace out of here and go have some dinner. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Sunshine. It's truly been a pleasure.
It was such a blessing. I'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye. Bye.